So the third tenet is to engage in a mindful connection with your food, to recognize that our food nourishes us, to pay attention to what we're eating, to eat more slowly. And this is one of the things I actually kind of need to work on a little bit. But there is now, thankfully, a farm-to-fork movement. Oftentimes this is linked into animal agriculture, but increasingly it's connected more with plant-based agriculture. There are veganic farms now. In Philadelphia, there's an indoor, solar-powered, veganic certified farm. And they are advocating plant-based eating for many reasons, and there are entrepreneurs now creating plant-based businesses. Some of them are fast food restaurants, which one could argue is not exactly aligned with connecting with your food, but there's a huge movement now in plant-based food, and it's a very exciting time for our movement. I also try to buy organic food, and for vegans, this, for me, being vegan is not an ingredient list. It's an aspiration to live as kindly as possible. Because by buying organic food, technically speaking, it might be grown with animal manure, or slaughterhouse byproducts, or blood meal, or bone meal, or fish meal. So technically, it wouldn't be vegan. But the fact is, we are part of this earth, and we have parts of other creatures and plants in our bodies, just nutrients that cycle. And in fact, in the human body, we have non-human DNA in the form of our gut biota. We have all kinds of microbes in our bodies. So again, here I think it ultimately boils down to creating a mutually beneficial relationship with other creatures and with the planet, and also with our food, to eat food that nourishes us. And in our country today, we're eating food that makes us sick. It's been estimated we could save something like 70% on healthcare costs by eating a whole foods plant-based diet. So the fourth tenet is to eat plants for your health. In our country, we're eating food that makes us sick, and it really doesn't make any sense. It's completely irrational when you think about it. So earlier, I talked about living in a way that is aligned with our values, that we can feel good about. This talks primarily about eating in a way and living in a way that is aligned with our interests. It's not in our interest to eat food that makes us sick. It is in our interest to eat food that nourishes our bodies and allows us to live well. And if you look at the human body, we are best suited to eat plants. You compare the carnivore's mouth with a human's mouth. Carnivore has, claws and sharp teeth. If a human was a natural carnivore and we saw an animal who was bleeding and dying or dead, we would start salivating, but we don't tend to do that. We also have a very short intestinal tract, rather a very long intestinal tract compared to carnivores who have a very short intestinal tract, because meat is a putrefying piece of flesh and it has to get through our bodies quickly. But with human beings, meat can take a long time to pass through us and creates problems. It also has no fiber, which is another problem associated with eating animal foods. And now, thankfully, medical professionals, and including Dr. Michael Clapper, who's here, who's been a voice for this for decades, and I just got to give a quick shout out, and other medical professionals now are starting to come forward and speak about the benefits of eating plants instead of animals. And here are some of the benefits: lower body weight, less heart disease, less cancer, lower cholesterol, lower blood pressure, lower rates of type 2 diabetes. And the American Dietetic Association is also, again, officially recognizing that vegetarian and vegan diets can work and that they can actually do us well. The recent U.S. dietary guidelines recommendations, in fact, included a recommendation that we eat more plants and fewer animals, which is a good thing. This was in Washington, D.C. Of course, the elected politicians, who are oftentimes speaking at the behest of industrialized animal agriculture and the big ag, we're not for this, and so the USDA is making small steps. They're not doing as much as needs to be done, but they are actually making some small steps. and they are promoting more organics. They are promoting more fruits and vegetables. Michelle Obama had the White House Organic Garden. So I think these are all very positive things, but some of them are more symbolic than actual. And when you get into appropriations and money being spent by our government to support different kinds of agriculture, that money tends still to be spent way too much to promote industrialized animal agriculture in the form of subsidies for corn and soybeans, which are used as animal feed, in the form of purchases of excess products such as cheese. The USDA recently bought $20 million of excess cheese that it's now going to be feeding through food assistance programs, in many cases to children. So there's still a long way to go, but the discussion is underway in Washington about our food. And I believe that the economics of it are also going to play a big role, because we're finding out that we're spending a lot of money, we're losing a lot of money on a system that needs to change.